New to Red Giant is an online membership-based service called Univers. The basic membership plan is free all the way up to a premium plan that contains hundreds of effects. The best part is that this collection will continue to expand over time. Let's take a look at some of the effects that Univers has to offer.
So I guess the big question is, how does Univers differ from the effects suite? So Univers has 60 GPU accelerated effects. It's a subscription-based service, meaning you pay for it yearly and you have access to all of these effects and anything else they add to this library, and it's right at your fingertips. So you don't essentially own it like you do the effects suite, but you license it on a yearly basis and have access to some of the most newest effects and some of the coolest effects that Red Giant has to offer, and that's in my opinion. So as much as I would love to cover all of the effects in Univers in one short movie, that's not going to be possible. But what is going to be possible is for us to head over to After Effects and see a few of these effects in action and then experiment after that. So I'm in my chapter 0106 Univers logo uni composition. And before we apply an effect onto this logo, here at Effects and Presets, you can see all of the various Univers categories available to you with the purchase of this subscription. So taking a look, you've got blur effects, you've got distortion effects, you've got generators and glows, you've even got different types of various motion effects, and you've got a stylized category. I think what really interests me about the stylized category is that some of the things from Effects Suite has been carried over. So you can see here Holomatrix 2. We've got a full-on version of TuneIt Studio. If we look a little bit further, you've also got a easy version of No Light Factory. So if you're looking to do some simplistic lens flares and have a ton of presets, this might be exactly what you're looking for. But as we take a look deeper, if we take a look into the motion graphics section, we're going to see a few things that I think are very handy for your motion graphic workflow underneath this category. So let's first take a look at Uni Logo Motion. And what's extremely interesting about this is that we can have logo animation without the need to keyframe. To see this in action, I'm going to just take this effect and apply it to my emblem layer. So automatically we can see that this logo comes in from left to right with easing motion and is going to exit in the exact same way. So we've got automatic logo animation. And if we want to be able to switch this, we can actually head over to Effect Controls. And there's a section of presets that we can browse. So I'm just going to click on this Browse Preset button. And you can see all of these various presets. And if you single click on one of them, we get a preview or a sense for what it does. I want to head all the way to the very bottom of this preset window and select the Flip Scale. And once I press the select button, you can see that that flip scale animation was applied to the logo layer. So if we're looking to manipulate this animation a little bit further, we can actually head to the parameters in Effect Controls just underneath the Browse Preset section. So I can go over here to Transition Duration and change that length. I'm going to change the length from 1 second to 2 seconds to make this animation a little bit longer. And now let's actually play with the properties that affect the start and end animation. So I'm going to go over here to the end values of the animation, and we can see that both the scale and the X rotation are what are controlling this animation to go out. So let's make the scale value 100. And I'm going to follow by making the rotation X value 0. And you'll see right now that there are no flip or scale animations occurring at the end of this logo. It's only happening at the beginning. Now I'll also play here with the opacity fade value here at the end. And I've just basically swapped out that flip animation for an opacity fade out at the end of this clip. We can easily customize any logo animation by simply dragging on these properties without the need to keyframe. Besides being able to play with the start and end values of this logo, we can also play with its values when it's in its idle state or its resting position on screen. You can see if we go to idle properties, this wiggle value, so that we can add a constant wiggle to our logo as it's in that resting position. We can also choose from other presets that are listed here under the idle property section. So let's play with the spring amplitude and frequency. And you can see this logo begins to rock back and forth in its idle state. Keep in mind you have those controls for pivots as well as wiggles. or simply just even taking these amplitude and frequency of the spring, we can make this idle animation more aggressive. So I've got another 2 layers here that compose this logo. So let's actually first turn those on. And let's head back to the original layer where we have the animation. I'm going to go over to Effect Controls. And with this Uni Logo Motion effect, I'm going to select it and hit Command C to copy it to an invisible pasteboard, and hit Command V to paste those attributes as well as the effect on over to the other 2 logos. Now playing this back, I'm thinking that the additional animation when the logo is idle is a little bit too much. So let us actually go over to those spring amplitude settings under both of these logos. So that was the crest as well as the soccer ball. And let's zero them out. So we can, of course, take these 2 additional layers and customize them and their animations as we see fit. But this gives you a sense for overall what Uni Logo Motion does. And again, that ability for us to animate these logos without the need to keyframe. One thing you do want to keep in mind is with whatever logo you add them to, you want to make sure it is part of an appropriate 1920 by 1080 size in order to have the best results for this automatic animation. So this is one effect in the Univers suite. Let's take a look at another. So in the project panel, I'd like you guys to find the Chapter 106 HUD composition and open that in the timeline. You'll see a solid here that we're just going to turn on. And let's actually do a search to find Univers HUD components. And we're going to drag and drop that onto this solid layer. And you'll see here, this is just a great way of creating heads-up displays. So like Uni Logo Motion, this effect comes with a ton of presets that you can browse and see some of them. I want to select this Target 3 effect. It contains automatic animation, and you can see the multiple elements composed to make this heads-up display element for your project's needs. So besides being able to choose a preset, let's actually reset this effect. There are 4 elements that you can use to compose your own heads-up display from scratch. So besides being able to use this measured arc, that's the default here in this first element, I can go through this entirely long list. So let me go down just a little bit more and choose this fingerprints element. So once we've added that fingerprint, we've got a ton of control. We can replicate this item. We can change its look. We can change its transformation settings. So keep in mind, we can add this fingerprint and have it mix with other elements. We've got an additional 3 that we could add onto this effect. So if I place this fingerprint with another element, if we go down here to the second element and choose a measured arc, you could see that fingerprint in the measured arc. And we can customize these as we see fit. So I'm going to reset this effect. And inside this composition, I have 2 layers that I've shied. So I'm going to click on the shy button to reveal them. And I'm going to turn on the eyes for both layers so that we can see them. We can see here that we have one piece of 4K footage that has a little bit of color correction on them, and the other actually contains 2 heads-up components that have been actually tracked to this person's face. So one, I used max tracking so that we have a little bit of the movement of one of his eyes, and the other is actually tracked to his chin. So you can see there that through some simple mass tracking, I was able to attach the heads-up display components to a character's face. So combine this one Univers effect along with Uni Logo Motion and the other 50 effects that you have at your arsenal, and you have a pretty good subscription-based package for being able to work with Red Giant Univers. So take a look further at some of the other effects within this package. There are quite a few, and hopefully you'll find it as useful as I do.